And we're live. Good evening, folks. Actually, the only one I can see in here is Nigel at the moment. But if anybody else is watching, good evening to all. Nigel, of course, was the first one in. Nigel at the moment. If anybody else is watching, good evening to all. Okay. And Ted is having some minor technical difficulties, but I think he's okay. You know. You can see we still have plenty of light. If I didn't have my curtains closed, you'd see plenty of light from outside here too. It was 82 degrees in Chattanooga today. I was loving that. You know. So what's the temperature down there in Texas?
Yes.
Yo, Brian, glad to have you, Brian. Glad you're here. So we know we've got Nigel and Brian. And we're having wonderful, we had pouring rain all day yesterday. Today we had beautiful sunshine all the way up to 82, so that was good. But as far as I know, the rain's coming back tomorrow and Sunday. But of course, since Saturday is the rainiest day of the week worldwide, I guess you have to expect that. So I haven't seen anybody else show up as yet. I know Renz was late last week, so maybe he'll be late this week. I haven't seen Eleanor yet, and I haven't spoken to her today. So, and Ted, you have a look on your face like you're still not satisfied with something. And the sound just got.
George, did you say something?
Yes, I said something. But you must have changed something, because all of a sudden I'm hearing a hiss along with it. It wasn't a hiss before. Yeah. Now it's the hiss is gone. Now talk, say something, so I'll know you're good.
I know my audio's good, but
okay, it is good.
Can barely hear you. Sorry, folks. I wanted to do things special for George today. I wanted to bring up my actual camera back with the Fujifilm, my studio key light. How to even turn on my fill light?
You should turn around the camera so you can show us this stuff.
I'm going to turn around the camera.
Yeah. Now, don't mess yourself up, please. You know.
Let me see if I can put this back on. Make this come through my TV, because I can't hear a damn thing.
I'm sorry. Well, you are getting older. It could be hanging around with me. There you go. There you go. Eh?
Oh, that's the mic.
Remember, there's no cursing on Mobile Geese's channel. Or swearing.
All right, you're coming in through the TV now.
Okay. So you can hear us well now?
I can hear you better, ironically. But yeah, this is what I...
This make me a TV star?
All right. So let me get back up. So yeah, I got my
okay.
Got the fill light, which is bouncing off this wall in order to light this face.
Okay.
Then I got this to reduce the shadows a bit.
Okay.
And this was supposed to make me hear you, but I can't hear a darn thing.
So that was the disappointment of the week. Okay, yeah. At least the lights are working. And of course,
for the first time, I'm using this big old PC for the StreamYard.
Okay, yeah, I use my PC. I mean, I use my desktop every week, so that's what I use all the time. Crystal is here. Hello, Crystal. Glad to see you. Glad you came in. You know,
I got this lav mic connected to the camera.
Okay.
And all of this is made possible by a $15 dongle that I got off eBay, the cam card thing.
Cool. Crystal, if I knew a Crystal song, I'd sing it to you, but I don't know a Crystal song. I know a lot of songs. I probably should learn one.
Oh, Days is here.
Okay, Days is here. Glad to see you here, brother. Okay, of course, Nigel was the first one in. Brian was right behind him, and now we got Crystal and Days in here. And if anybody else is watching, because I'm broadcasting on YouTube and Facebook, so if anybody's watching on Facebook, I haven't seen it, but maybe somebody is. All right, you got everything straight now? He's good with the smile. You got to give him that. You know. Smile though your heart is aching.
I remember that from Joker. Hold on, let me just. There we go. I'm turning up the TV.
Okay.
There we go. Beautiful.
Let me see, Mike. Okay. I'm starting to hear myself from you now, just a little bit. So you might have turned it up a little bit too much. You see him rolling his eyes at me? Whatever happened to respect for your elders? I mean, come on now.
Any better? Any better, sir?
Yes, it is. I think so. Yes, that's better. That's better.
All right, let's get this show.
So you see, folks, Ted and I take turns. 1 week I have problems. 1 week he has problems. We go back and forth, but it's a very balanced show. All right. Let me see if I can start. Do you got the stories where you can see them? I'm going to pull up the first story.
Hold on. Let me get out of. I won't be able to see you guys, but hold on. Let me get up. Let me get up. Get up. Get up. Stand up.
All right. Well, no,
Yep.
no. Well, you can either say get up, stand up for your life.
Both stories are on the OnePlus 9.
Right. Oh, or you could go with James Brown. Get up, get on up. So you got your choices there.
Why don't you take? Yeah, I got the stories up. You want to do the first one?
I'm going to share the first one. Yes, I'll take care of it. Okay. Because to me, the big deal of the week had to be the OnePlus 9, especially the OnePlus 9 Pro. So I decided to start with the Verge, the OnePlus 9 Pro review, and then I'm going to follow it up with a general OnePlus talking about all the three of the phones. So this was on the Verge. Of course, the show notes are in the description, or you can just go to mobilegeezer.wordpress.com, and it's the first story. So, OnePlus 9 Pro review, a refined niche flagship. Fast charging and elegant software offset a so-so cameras. Some people are still having problems. All right, the OnePlus 9 Pro is a legitimate flagship phone that is genuinely competitive with the best Android phones on the market, at least from a features and quality perspective. Yet in terms of market and mindshare, it's still destined to be a niche device for a small group of enthusiasts looking for a specific kind of elegance in their Android device. Well, elegance is always good, and that's great. If you live in the US and you're buying an Android phone, chances are very high that you'll end up with a Samsung Galaxy phone. Yes, you will. Samsung has the carrier relationships, quality, and marketing that have led directly to market share. LG, Motorola, and even Google sell more phones here than OnePlus does. But after nearly 7 years and dozens of phones, OnePlus has established itself as a brand that can make great phones that are serious alternatives to the mainstream. The $969 OnePlus Pro achieves that goal with only a handful of notable compromises. OnePlus's flagship phones always come with a laundry list of top-of-the-line specs. But what makes the OnePlus 9 Pro good isn't the numbers, it's how well those specs translate into one of the best experiences you can get using Android. Okay, so a nice positive start. And there's the good stuff and the bad stuff. Good, great screen, elegant software, fast charging. Bad camera can overprocess images, and I've seen that in a number of stories.
Overprocess?
Overprocess. I've seen 3 or 4 stories say that same thing. Digital zoom is weak. I think everybody said that. And no 5G on AT&T. Waiting Verizon 5G. So basically, the only way you can get 5G on right now is T-Mobile. OnePlus 9 Pro hardware design and 5G support. The hardware design on the OnePlus 9 Pro is the most seamless, elegant phone that the company has designed to date. It is, of course, big. It has a 6.7-inch screen that goes from edge to edge and a body that's narrow enough to make it just barely usable for me in one hand. And I would have to guess it would work for me too. What I can't help but notice is how far OnePlus has come in build quality. The glass on the front and back curves into the aluminum rail on the edges, with no seams at all. It's well balanced, beautiful, and solid. It's also the spinning image of a Galaxy S20 Plus. Shift a couple of buttons around, move the selfie camera to the middle, and swap out the logo, and it's the same design. I get that there are only so many ways to sandwich curved glass and aluminum together, but it's uncanny. Yeah, even here, it kind of looks like a Galaxy 20. To be fair, OnePlus does keep some of its identity in the 3-stage ringer switch, which easily lets you toggle between a ringer, vibration, and fully silent, and may still be my favorite feature on the OnePlus phones, and I remain baffled as to why more Android phone makers don't adopt a physical ringer switch. I agree, and I've seen people ask that before, because that's one of the best things about a OnePlus phone.
Instead, they give you the Google Assistant button.
Yeah, which to me is kind of useless. I mean,
which may or may not be programmable.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of vibration, the haptics on the OnePlus 9 Pro aren't sloppy at all, unlike many Android phones. Unfortunately, the trade-off is that they aren't very strong. I often can't feel it vibrate in my pocket. The OnePlus 9 Pro has the top-tier Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 processor, which is paired with 8 gigs of RAM on the 128 gigabyte model. You can't get it in a smaller screen size, but you can spend $100 more to get 256 gig of storage and 12 gigabytes of RAM. There is no micro SD card slot for storage expansion in either model. What you get is what you get. It supports both sub-6 and millimeter wave styles of 5G, but there's a significant caveat. The phone supports it, but OnePlus has only managed to land 5G certification from its carrier partner, T-Mobile. If you buy it unlocked as of now, it will only work with T-Mobile's 5G network. Everything else will be LTE. AT&T 5G support doesn't appear to be in the cards at all. And as for Verizon, OnePlus says that it continues to work with Verizon to certify both the 9 and 9 Pro on its 5G network. Later on, March 26th, Verizon announced that it would support 5G on the OnePlus 9 and 9 Pro. So that was just today, okay. And traditionally, Verizon is usually the slowest one to even put out updates because of getting their certification and their programming. So this is nothing new to me.
You mean like software updates?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Usually, if I
thought it was AT&T was the laggard.
No, it's usually. I don't know if Verizon's slower, but they're usually the last one. If somebody releases a software update, usually it's Verizon is the last one of the major ones to get it in there. You know, some people think it's because of the amount of bloat Verizon has to put on everything. I don't know.
Look at Brian's comment. Verizon wants to put their.
Verizon wants to put their tramp stamp logo on the OnePlus device. It wouldn't surprise me one bit, Brian. You know, Verizon loves doing that stuff. That's absolutely true. You know. And here's another comment from Brian. OnePlus overhype is killing them. I agree 100% because they hyped the crap out of that camera. But I guess we'll get to that.
Sure did.
Yep. For OnePlus, the standout spec is its proprietary charging technology. There's a 65-watt charger included in the box, and it can help charge up the phone ridiculously fast. The phone's 4,500 milliamp battery is actually split in two, which helps further speed charging. If you like, you can spend an additional $69 on a OnePlus new Warp Charge 50 wireless chargers. It charges at 25 watts, but since the battery is split, it's essentially the same as charging at 50 watt wirelessly. It also works if you set the phone on the charger in landscape mode. With the phone fully dead, it charged completely in 45 minutes. That's pretty good. with ambient mode on and Google Assistant on, it took a bit longer, but it was still wicked fast compared to other wireless chargers. Yes, and every review I've seen all say the charging speed is incredible. The 4,500 milliamp battery was enough to get me through a full day and a half of moderately heavy use. However, OnePlus phones do tend to be a little more variable in their battery life depending on use. Spending a day shooting 4K video and pushing the processor with games meant I could kill it with less than 4 hours of screen time. That's pretty bad. So while the battery life might not be best in class, the way OnePlus has built its ecosystem for charging means that I'm able to top off faster than I can with other phones, provided I use OnePlus's proprietary chargers, of course. OnePlus 9 Pro screen. After wireless charging, the next standout spec on the OnePlus 9 Pro is that 6.7-inch screen. Like Samsung, OnePlus has switched over to an LTPO style of OLED, which can be more power efficient and allows the company to have more control over the refresh rate. Oops, I went too far. The screen can go all the way from 120 hertz on down to 1 hertz, depending on what's happening on the display. OnePlus has branded the touch response rate on the screen as Hypertouch, clocked at 360 hertz for certain games. And though I am dubious it makes that big a difference for gamers, OnePlus says it could. More consequential is the screen resolution, 1440 by 3216 at 525 ppi. That's impressive to me. You can leave it at that high resolution and have the high refresh rate screen going at the same time. Doing so probably hits battery life, but to me, the point of this max spec phone is to max the spec, so I didn't turn down the resolution or the refresh rate. That's exactly what I do. Keep everything up there as high as you can get it. Those are the specs on the screen, but it's the experience that matters. And again, I think OnePlus has done a remarkable job here. Something about the tuning of the animations in Oxygen OS makes this phone feel just a little bit smoother than even Samsung phones. That's pretty impressive. I also appreciate the color tuning, although it's not as subdued as an iPhone or even a Pixel. It's more restrained than Samsung's default settings. Okay, here to me is the good stuff. OnePlus 9 Pro camera. Without delving into a lot of history, I will just point out that until very recently, camera quality has been the main downfall for OnePlus phones. It's a particularly bad way to fall down, too, because often the clearest and simplest way to compare phones that otherwise look and perform nearly equivalently is to look at the photos they take. OnePlus knows all of this and wants to position the OnePlus 9 as a heads-up competitor, or at least a viable alternative to the very best Samsung and even Apple have to offer. So it did a thing a lot of challenger brands do, call in a ringer. The ringer is Hasselblad, which OnePlus is partnering with to improve its camera results. It will be a multi-year effort, and it's far from guaranteed it'll be a fruitful partnership. In fact, most of these sorts of deals don't really do anything notable when it comes to the camera's quality. This year, Hasselblad's participation with the OnePlus's development process amounted to helping the company tune the colors from the camera and lending a bit of its interface to the camera's promo. Oh, and most importantly for OnePlus, Hasselblad allowed its logo to be stamped next to the lenses. And I've heard that from a number of reviewers that the color tuning is all that's really happening from Hasselblad. I do think there's some credit due to this color tuning influence. In the same way that other smartphone brands have a look to their photos, I think OnePlus is developing its own. iPhone photos are generally flat and neutral, tending to the warm side of color. Pixel photos contrasty and blue, and Samsung photos have the vibrancy slider set to max. That's a pretty nice picture in my opinion. It says OnePlus 9 Pro indoor with mixed lighting handles color well. I think it did it excellent there. Here,
That's all right.
Oh, I think it's really nice. Well, you have a better eye for pictures than I do. OnePlus tends to ramp up blue colors, which is usually fine, but can sometimes get the camera that's seriously ramping up the blue there, I think.
No more so than what
Samsung? or Apple.
But Samsung used to do it, but I'm thinking more of Pixel where it airs on the blue side.
Okay, yeah, and that's what he said. And here on the motorcycle, OnePlus does a good job of not adding too much vibrancy when it's not there in the first place. The OnePlus 9 Pro's image output lands mostly in the middle. It tends towards blue, and it definitely lifts up shadows to create more even lighting. Its photos are more striking but less accurate than what you'd get out of an iPhone. The camera system is good, but it can't quite match the quality you get from an iPhone 12 Pro Max or Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, both of which cost more than the OnePlus 9 Pro. It handles a variety of conditions quite well, but sometimes I just had to take an extra beat to compose my shot. It let me better judge what the viewfinder was showing and honestly gave me time to try the shot again. Okay, oh, so you can move it here.
So what was he trying to do?
He's saying sometimes he had to take an extra beat to compose, and sometimes he had to take a second shot.
One is the left. This is the Galaxy S21 Ultra. This is the OnePlus 9 Pro.
Right.
Do that a few more times. Let's see the difference.
There's the Galaxy S21, and there's the OnePlus 9 Pro. Okay.
I kind of like in the OnePlus.
Actually, in this picture, so am I. Oh, but on the OnePlus, I think the detail could be better, don't you?
I think it's too much detail almost. I think it's like they raised the texture.
Well, yeah, maybe it is too much, but it somehow the detail doesn't look quite right to me. But
like, look at our eye. Look at the painting's eye. Look at that eye.
Yes, this eye to me looks better overall. This eye, this eye seems like it's maybe a little over-processed detail-wise. You agree?
Let me just take a deeper look at it. Pretend I'm big. I don't know. Like maybe because I thought at first that was the texture of the wall.
Right, but it's not.
But is that not the case?
Oh, well, it is some. You're right. Yeah, but why did Samsung handle it so much better, texture of the wall-wise? I mean,
I think Samsung just smoothed it.
I don't know. So, yeah, I mean, look right here. I can't get
look at where the bird is. Like I would think that's how it actually was in real life.
Okay, I'm looking at where those red and yellow flowers are right next to the eye. That's what I don't think looks very good at all. Here they look better, but yeah, they're not as sharp here. So I guess it's generally okay.
Like I don't know. Like I'm not sure if it's over sharpening or that's just how the wall was.
I'm thinking it's over sharpening, but I'm not sure. But okay. I guess we have to say either way, the eyes have it. Oh, I couldn't resist that. You know me. Let me see what Brian is saying over here. Enjoy that Note 20 Ultra, that laugh sync device with SD card and MST. Okay. And Brian, I think that statement is somewhat off. iPhones have bumped up their saturation over the years also, along with their warmth. I agree, because on my iPhone 12 Pro, I have noticed that the saturation seems to be much more than, let's say, it was when I had the iPhone 10. Okay.
Yeah, slowly but surely. And on the portrait mode, iPhones have also started skin smoothing as well.
Okay, which I don't know why they do that. Everybody hates that, so I don't get the point. Okay, as usual with smartphone cameras, I think the difference comes down to software. I like the colors the 9 Pro produces, but sometimes it just tries too hard and whiffs. And I've heard others kind of say the same thing. Similarly, OnePlus seems to want to bring a little of that pixel contrast magic to bear, but instead just over-sharpened. So we were right, it is over-sharpened. And enlightening shadows is sometimes laudable, but not when it adds completely unnecessary and distracting image noise. I guess I'd have to agree. The main camera uses a new 48 megapixel Sony sensor with OIS. But when I press OnePlus to tell me what exactly the sensor brings to the table, I didn't really get a clear answer. You can shoot 12-bit RAW images on the Pro mode, which is 2 bits more than last year, if you're keeping count. Now, these pictures, this one looks pretty good to me. I think even detail-wise. But he's saying the camera can try too hard to brighten shadows. Okay, so it's brightening up the shadow. So over here, he was saying that cost you detail. I think that picture looks pretty good. What do you think?
Like in that top photo, normally phones these days, when they all try to tout their HDR mode,
right?
Usually the phone, without even asking you, would just go straight into HDR and just give you an HDR shot. Like if there's too much, if the camera thinks there's too much shadows.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think it's kind of interesting though that the OnePlus camera doesn't go into HDR mode. So I'm not sure if he put the camera on manual mode or
I don't know.
He didn't enable HDR mode.
Yeah, he doesn't tell us. Yeah,
because he does talk about controlling the exposure in the shadows and whatnot. So I don't know why he doesn't just underexpose the photo a little bit. It's in his discretion.
Right. Now looking at the bottom picture, the camera over sharpens sometimes too. Take a look at the fringing around the runners on the lake in this ultra wide shots. So there's the runners. Are you seeing the fringing around them?
No, fringing looks like purple. It'll come up like a purple outline on something. So that's what the fringing is. It would normally be like where the sun is, like right there at the top right corner.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Now, so what do you think of this photo? When I saw this photo, I didn't think much of it. What do you think?
Yeah, I can definitely see where it definitely is over sharpened, especially with the bushes and the detail in the background.
Right. Okay.
That, especially along the horizon, that does look a bit over sharpened.
Okay.
But in terms of dynamic range, though, I have to say, for an ultra wide shot, it held the contrast pretty well. Like it didn't fade out, considering he's shooting into the sun.
Okay, but see the buildings back here.
Yep.
I don't think they look so hot in this picture. I'm thinking they should look better or clearer at least.
Clearer? They're so far back. How clear can you get them?
I don't know. That was the first thing I noticed. That was the first thing I thought didn't look right to me. But of course, I have 76-year-old eyes, so who knows what I'm seeing here. Okay. That's all nice, but the interface on Pro mode is what gets me. You can clearly see what's set to manual and what's in auto mode. It's simple and easy to use too. Best of all is focus peaking, which draws little lines over the part of the image that's in focus. It's a lot clearer and more fun to use than the tap to focus you need to use on other phones. You can do that here too, of course. The OnePlus 9's Pro's other cameras include a big 50 megapixel ultra wide with a sensor that's quite a lot nicer than the usual step-down sensors ultra-wides get stuck with. I loved using it right up until it went haywire with sharpening. OnePlus put in a custom lens to help with distortion at the edges, and it works well or better than pure software fixes at keeping straight lines from bowing. What he said.
Yeah, I heard from Juan that the ultra-wide sensor of the OnePlus is actually bigger than the main sensor of the iPhone.
Right. And everybody I've seen talk about it all think the ultra wide is the best.
Ultra wide in the history of ultra wides?
No, I mean the best, better looking than the normal camera. That's what I've been seeing. The telephoto camera is 3x3x, and it's not anything special at that zoom level. Beyond it, digital zoom is kind of a mess. It gets enhanced by the S21 Ultra with its periscope style lens. There's also a monochrome camera that serves only as a helper for the rest of the system.
So it's not a camera, it's a sensor. Monochrome sensor.
Yeah, and everybody seems to universally dislike that monochrome. OnePlus did drop the gimmicky and pointless color filter camera from last year's 8 Pro this time around. It will probably drop the monochrome camera next year if I had to guess.
Apparently the monochrome sensor is not to take photos, but apparently it's just to help the video camera.
Yeah. It's a sensor to help out.
Yeah.
But nobody seems to think highly of it.
It's a monochrome sensor. I like the monochrome sensors that Leica had, that Huawei had. Those were beautiful.
Okay. See, I haven't had a Huawei since the Mate
9?
Mate 9, so and that was a mid-range camera, a mid-range phone. So I can't talk about Huawei.
The Mate is the flagship series of Huawei.
Yeah, but keep in mind, this was way back what is that phone now? 4 years old, 3 years old? Yeah.
But Huawei puts the monochrome sensor. They put the monochrome sensor in the P series, so it wouldn't have gone in the Mate.
Right, and the P series wasn't out when I got that.
Yeah, that was the photographer one.
Yeah,
that's what P stood for, photography.
But yeah, ever since they came up with the P series, people rave about their cameras even being better than Apple's or Pixel's. So
they are good cameras.
Yeah, I just wish I would get one if they had Google, but no. Nigel got Google on his, but Nigel goes through a lot of rigmarole to get on it. Hey, Cobra's in here. Nice to see you, Cobra. And he ought to know. Mate series has great cameras. He certainly knows, that's for sure. Don is watching on the G8X. Okay, guess who he bought that? Guess who he bought that from?
Oh, from you.
Yes, because I have the Velvet behind me, so I didn't need both. Glad to see you here, Don.
G8X Unite. Hold on, I might somehow replace
this. Yeah, now you Texas guys can unite with your G8Xs. And you are in Dallas, and Don is only in Frisco, so he's pretty close to you.
Gotta hang out.
Exactly.
G8X users need to stick together.
Okay.
Let me know when you get an update on your phone, by the way, Don. I'm waiting on that.
Okay. OnePlus's software-focused nightscape mode works really well for capturing nighttime shots, although to my taste, it over-brightens the image. Well, a lot of them do that. Portrait mode is a mixed bag. Heads often look artificially cut off in the blurry background. Again, I can get good shots, but portrait mode was often one of those situations where I needed to try the shot a second time. The selfie camera is passable in good light, but falls down fast in the dark. Yeah, a couple of people have complained about that selfie camera. Unfortunately, video is equally messy. The OnePlus 9 Pro will let you shoot up to 8K 30 or 4K 120, but neither look good. In fact, regular old 4K 30 has that over-processed and over-sharpened look you see so often from smartphones. The big new feature is improved HDR, like you said, for backlit subjects, but the effect is minimal at best. That's a whole pile of critical taste compared to phones that cost more than this phone. But despite the price difference, I think the OnePlus 9's Pro camera should be held to as high a standard as possible. I agree. It's a flagship phone. It can sometimes hang with the best, and that's a win. Yeah, but see, what that says to me, that means sometimes it can't hang with the best, and that's a loss to me.
I don't know what the best is supposed to be in this situation, though.
I think the best, of course, for me, the best is these two, because I think the 21 Ultra and the iPhone have the best cameras, and along with the Pixel. But I don't think this, from everything I'm seeing and reading about the OnePlus 9 Pro, I don't think it can touch any of the three of those. That's just my opinion. Even though the camera is often the main differentiator from an Android phone, it's not necessarily everybody's highest priority. When I'm not pixel peeping photos, the OnePlus 9 Pro is the best Android phone I've used so far this year. Wow. Better than the Ultra? Wow. The performance is great. I'm especially impressed with the optical in-screen fingerprint sensor, which is super fast and doesn't seem to be thrown by weird lighting conditions. Yeah, the Ultra still has a few problems with that. OnePlus's version of Android is called Oxygen OS, and now it's at version 11. The company has borrowed Samsung's idea of shifting content down to meet your thumb and added in support for an always-on ambient display. I love ambient displays, always on. The animations feel smooth, and OnePlus has learned its lesson about how annoying it can be to have apps close in the background so often. I agree. OnePlus has committed to 2 major OS updates and 3 years of bi-monthly security updates, which puts it ahead of brands like LG, but behind Samsung and Google. You can customize a few things like the font and icons too. My favorite customization is an ambient display mode that displays a colorful bar that shows how often you've been using your phone throughout the day. It sounds interesting and useful. One feature borrowed from Apple and or Microsoft is the ability to put your widgets into a separate panel so they're not littering your main home screen. You probably got that from Apple. Accessible via a quick swipe down. I love it, but I wish it wasn't mapped to the same thing other Android phones use to quickly bring down notifications. Mostly, though, Oxygen OS just feels chill, especially compared to Samsung. OnePlus isn't pushing its own ecosystem of apps and services, though with a OnePlus Watch coming, perhaps that may change. It's also not festooning its own apps with advertisements, unlike Samsung. So that's basically it. So I wanted to get that one out of the way first. Let's see what Brian is. Let me get this off the screen. What's Brian saying over here? See, I think Mr. Mobile mentioned that the OnePlus portrait mode messes up glasses consistently. Well, that's not good. Days one. OnePlus should stop focusing on Samsung-like features camera and aim for Google quality picture. That's probably true. And Brian says the problem is a Pixel A series have eviscerated OnePlus on camera and updates. Yeah, I'm looking to get a.
I heard OnePlus is doing well on updates, though. Well, on the the flagship OnePlus phones.
Right. Yeah. And I expected they would. His days when with the SD888 getting 4 years of support, OnePlus should have also gone 3 years on OUP subsidies. I agree with that. Okay, so that was the OnePlus 9 Pro. And I particularly started with that one because that's the one everybody's been talking about this week. But I followed it up with a Android Authority article talking about all 3 of the new phones. So I'm going to, Ted, you want to take that?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. All right. So here it is. This was talking about all 3 phones, and this is on Android Authority. And keep in mind, folks, the show notes are in the descriptions. You can just click there. Go ahead, Ted.
You can just
ready.
listen to us, just read it. Say this.
Okay.
We should probably enter this as like a podcast sort of thing as well, as a YouTube series.
Yeah, it's just work. But I've known I need to do that at some point.
Just, make it an audio thing and just submit the audios as podcasts.
Yeah, and I can download the audio. I would just have to edit where I want to put it. But because I'm thinking I shouldn't use the entire thing as a podcast, because who wants to listen to the issues we have starting out with tech difficulties in the beginning every week? Yeah.
So that's just minor edits, a little minor editing.
Okay, I'll give it a shot. We'll see if I can get to it. All right, go ahead whenever you're ready.
All right, let's see. I'm currently on the Edge browser, so let me turn on Immersive Reader. Take that, Android Authority. Where's your ass now? Suckers. Let's see. OnePlus 9 versus the 9 Pro versus the 9R. Which is the right for you? Credit Eric Zeman, who took the photo. OnePlus has taken the wraps off its 2021 flagships, the OnePlus 9 and the 9 Pro. The Pro iteration is the most expensive smartphone from the company yet. Does that mean the price increased? And
yes,
the standard OnePlus 9 also starts at a higher price point than its predecessors, albeit cheaper than the OnePlus 8T. Trade-off. Yeah. Not only that, but OnePlus has introduced a third device to the series this year with the more wallet-friendly 9R, intended for the budget-conscious consumers in China and India, because Lord knows there are none in the U.S.
Not yet. I'm hoping that one comes. I might get that one just to try it out.
That's not coming. All 3 have their pros and cons, so which is the right for you? Consider yourself a OnePlus insider with the latest OnePlus news. That was dumb of me. How's that?
Yeah,
so,
where are you going? Show me. Wait, let me know where you're going.
All right, so I'm looking at the chart. We're just looking at the specs. The
Okay.
9 has a 6.5-inch screen, as well as the 9R. Both have 6.5-inch screens, AMOLED. The 9 Pro has a 6.7-inch screen that's curved.
And a little bit higher aspect ratio.
It's an LTPO. What is that LTPO again, George?
I don't remember.
The 9 Pro has a higher PPI of 525 pixels per inch, whereas the 9R has 402. The 9 Pro has the adaptive refresh rate of 120 hertz, whereas the 9R and the 9 have a static 120 hertz refresh rate. All phones except the 9R have the Snapdragon 888. The 9R has the Snapdragon 870. You can have any of the phones can come with either 8 or 12 gigabytes of RAM, and maximum storage is 256 gigabytes of storage, or 128 gigabytes for the base storage. All phones come with 4,500 milliamp hour batteries, and they all fast charge at 65 watts. And
the charger comes in the box. That's important these days.
Yes, the charger comes in the box.
Yep.
Interesting though is the 9 Pro is the only one that will fast charge wirelessly at 50 watts.
Yep.
The other two fast charges only at 15 watts, guys.
Yeah.
And
I'm thinking at this point the 9 Pro is going to charge faster than any phone on earth, is my guess.
Wireless.
Everybody's raving about it. Yeah.
One thing to know, guys, you will only get the wireless fast charging in North America and Europe. So
yeah, that's true. I saw that. Yeah.
India, watch yourself. Interesting note, they all support Wi-Fi 6. Yeah. However, the 9 Pro has 2x2 MIMO and Wi-Fi AX support.
Yeah, and they also have 802.11 where the other two don't. That's the first thing I noticed.
And the 9R just has Bluetooth 5.1, whereas the rest have 5.2.
Right.
Let's see. They all weigh very similar. 192 grams for the 9, 189 grams for the 9R, and then 197 grams for the 9 Pro. And you have all available colors. Well, no, the 9 Pro.
Not in the R.
Yeah, so you get carbon black and lake blue in the 9R.
Right.
Morning mist, forest green, stellar black in the 9 Pro, and winter mist, arctic sky, and astral black in the 9.
So very different there. Makes me wonder, what's the difference between morning mist and winter mist?
Yeah.
I guess I just missed it. Oh, I couldn't resist that. You know me.
Let's see. I'm scrolling down where it says OnePlus flagship have historically struggled in the camera department.
I haven't gotten there yet. How far down am I going? Okay, I got it. Okay.
But it's a compromise that we can't ignore anymore at the current price point. The fantastic news is that OnePlus seems to have finally gotten its act together with the OnePlus 9 Pro. The OnePlus 9 Pro has a 48 megapixel Sony lens joined by an excellent 50 megapixel wide-angle shooter and a decent 8 megapixel telephoto lens. 2 megapixel depth sensor with portrait mode, that helps with the portrait mode. And the key to OnePlus' massive improvement is Hasselblad software tweaks, which provide highly color-accurate photos. The camera is imperfect. No smartphone camera is, but it seems OnePlus finally has a winner on its hands. The OnePlus 9's camera is not nearly as impressive. It makes sense, though, considering the price difference between the two. There's no telephoto lens, and even though the primary lens has the same specs, it's an older design, older hardware. You still get Hasselblad software to handle the final touches, so you can expect excellent color accuracy, great-looking shots, and an orange shutter button with a great shutter sound, leaf shutter sound. Unfortunately, the poorest of the lot, 9R, comes with the same camera hardware as the 8T, and we weren't particularly impressed with it back then, according to these guys. The 9R doesn't also have the advantage of Hasselblad's software boost, so it'll be interesting to see whether the 9R's camera performance is even better than the 8T.
That's interesting. Yeah, that would be interesting to see. Okay.
So let's see. If budget is, so which one to get? So if budget is, well, no. If you're not in India, the 9R isn't for you. Otherwise, if budget is a concern, the OnePlus 9 Pro is an obvious choice. You might get a high-end look and feel, better display, LT, more battery charging features, super fast wireless charging, dust and water resistance as a standard, and a fantastic camera.
Yeah.
However,
but keep in mind, everybody is agreeing that the color accuracy from the Hasselblad is really good.
And however, if you don't got money to blow, the OnePlus 9 is a solid alternative if you're hoping to save a decent chunk of money. You get the same processing package, ultra-fast charging, Hasselblad software enhancements that help to address a few concerns. OnePlus also included wireless charging to the standard model, but you will miss other true flagships. OnePlus 9R is a mixed bag. If you're holding on getting the 8T, the 9R is for you. It improves on last year's affordable flagship in plenty of ways, and at least for now is cheaper as well. Budgetary constraints aside, there's no other reason to recommend the 9R over its higher-end sibling, though. The 9R is the cheaper of the lot, but that's the only thing going for it. Even then, the standard 9 seems to offer more bang for your buck.
Yeah. Okay. So that should give you a pretty good idea of the differences there.
Let's see. Brian doesn't seem to be impressed with 2x2 Mimo.
Okay. Okay. Well, Brian's not going to impress very easily anyway. Hey, Alan, good to see you here, brother. Renz, I think you were a little bit late last week, and I think it's work, right? So, you're forgiven, and we're just glad you're here. Always glad you're here. So we're good.
Hey.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Renz, it's good to see you.
All we've talked about so far is the OnePlus 9 camera phones. So that's as far as we've gotten. So that was the big news of the week as far as I'm concerned. So then I just went on to other things that I thought were interesting stories that would interest all of us techies that are here. So I'm going on to the next story, and this is on cnet.com, and this is I think an interesting Intel story. Intel will make others chips in major turnaround effort under new CEO. CEO Pat Gelsinger offers a more confident assessment after the chipmaker struggled for years to sustain processor progress. Try saying processor progress 5 times fast. The stock market's response, meh. One thing about CNET, you can always listen to it rather than read it if you want to. After years of struggling to keep up with competitors, Intel will adopt their core strategy by making other companies' chips for them, new executive Pat Gelsinger said Tuesday. Intel largely has focused on making its own chips, but that'll change with the new and independent Intel Foundry Services business unit. If the shift works, it'll mark a major turnaround for a decades-old Silicon Valley powerhouse. For years, technology leadership and the Intel Inside marketing campaign kept the chip maker at the forefront of personal technology. But in recent years, Intel failed to tap into the mobile market and has suffered several delays to PC processor progress. And of course, as soon as I read that paragraph, I started hearing ding, 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 because for so many years, that's what you heard with Intel Inside. And my musician's mind hangs on to stuff like that. Intel's move also could help anchor technology supplier chains in the United States, an advantage during a time when politicians are concerned about reliance on Asian manufacturers. Intel welcomes political efforts to boost the U.S. processor business, but the foundry shift doesn't depend on these efforts at all, Gelsinger said. You can bet they want as much politics with the Chinese stuff as they can get, because that's only going to benefit them, and they know it. The strategy arrives during a major chip shortage that's delaying car manufacturing. Of course, yeah, it seems like cars and phones are seriously suffering because of this chip shortage. Top foundry Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company plans to spend a whopping $28 billion on new chip making capacity this year to try to meet demand. That's a nice backdrop for all Intel's foundry news, but don't expect it to help. It takes years to bring new fab capacity online. Yeah, and because when COVID first hit worldwide, there was like 3 or 4 months when there was practically no employees in the factories to make the chips. So that just has snowballed. As Intel lost its chip-making leadership, companies like Apple, NVIDIA, Qualcomm, and AMD tapped into the abilities of chip foundries like TSMC, Samsung, and UMC. Apple's M1 processor, built by TSMC and powering several new Macs, is emblematic of the shift. It's faster and uses less battery power on many tests than competing Intel chips. Intel is making progress on moving to its newer manufacturing process, which uses electronic components measuring 10 nanometers or billions of a meter. But yeah, they got to do better than that. He also expressed confidence about the 2023 shift to its 7 nanometer. See, I think getting to 7 nanometer is in 23 is kind of late to the party, in my opinion. Anyway, shift to its 7 nanometer process, which doubles the number of circuitry elements that fit into a given area from today's 10 nanometer process and quadruples from the older 14 nanometer process Intel still relies on. Gelsinger's confident commitments echoed those of former CEO Andy Grove, who led Intel during some of Gelsinger's earlier tenure at the company. Intel is back. The old Intel is now the new Intel as we look to the future. I think you got to prove that, not just say it. Our confidence in 7 nanometers health and competitiveness is accelerating, but you're still 2 years away from that. Wall Street remained unconvinced, so would I. After an initial surge in Intel's share price, it leveled off Wednesday at about $63 per share, where it had closed Tuesday before Intel's announcements. Not everyone is as bullish as Gelsinger. Well, we don't all work for them, do we? The foundry effort seems unlikely to be any more successful than any of Intel's previous foundry attempts, said Lindy Guinap, I guess, an analyst in the Lindley Group. Intel has always failed at foundry because it doesn't offer standard tools and libraries that TSMC and Samsung support, and external customers know they will always be the lowest priority on Intel's fabs. Intel's previous foundry efforts were weak, Gelsinger said, but asserted this time it will be different. For example, this time the foundry effort will be a separate business unit with its own profit responsibilities and will have dedicated capacity for customers, which to me means, yeah, with the separate effort, they have its own profit responsibilities, but that means they could fail quicker too, in my opinion. Also challenging is Intel's effort at bringing 7 nanometer chip production to volume, accelerating the next shift to its 5 nanometer. Yeah, and that's where some people are at already, and embracing new technology to combine smaller chiplets into a single, more powerful chip package, Gwinnett said. If anyone can pull that off, Pat is the guy to do it, Gwinnett said of Gelsinger. Gelsinger spent 30 years at Intel, rising to chief technology officer before leaving for a stint at software maker VMware. I used to work on VMware stuff. Intel also said it will exceed earlier revenue and profit forecasts for its first quarter, boosted by strong sales of chips for laptops. Remote school and work during the pandemic has triggered a surge in PC spending. Well, that's true. New businesses, new factories, new customers. With the just announced strategy, Intel hopes the foundry services will mean new business for Intel. Not only will it build its own processors like Core and Xeon, it will build other tech companies' chips too. Intel is investing an enormous $20 billion into 2 new Arizona chip factories called fabs. That'll include dedicated foundry capacity so customers will be confident Intel will make their chips. So it sounds like they don't have any customers as yet. That's what it sounds like to me. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Qualcomm, Ericsson, and Cisco endorsed Intel's move, though Intel didn't reveal specifics. It also announced a chip technology and packaging partnership with IBM. Intel Foundry Services will bolster U.S. competitiveness, IBM CEO Arvind Krishna said in a statement. In Intel's PC heyday, its closest partner in many ways was Windows software maker Microsoft, that's for sure, thus the moniker Wintel. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella offered his support for Intel's manufacturing changes, a strong vote of confidence given its place in the PC industry, and Gelsinger tweeted back his thanks. The exchange was notable in that Gelsinger is in some ways following Nadella's lead, as well he should. Under Nadella, Microsoft has embraced its powerful rivals like the Linux operating system and smartphones powered by Google and Apple software. Now, Gelsinger is lending its manufacturing clout, albeit somewhat tarnished right now, to its top rivals. Gone is the attitude you're with us or you're against us. Intel will let customers build chips using its own x86 processor cores and the ARM designs that dominate the smartphone business. Intel customers also will be able to build chips using RISC-V, a newer rival to ARM designs. I hadn't heard of that. Even as it plans to build other chips, Intel will increase its near-term reliance on other foundries like TSMC, Samsung in Korea, and UMC in Taiwan, Gelsinger said. But he made it clear Intel's primary strategy is to build its own chips. Intel's moves profoundly change competitive dynamic in the industry, said creative strategies analyst Ben Bajarin in a recent note Wednesday. Intel being able to build its chips on TSMC's leading manufacturing puts new pressure on Intel's own manufacturing, I agree, to improve while giving Intel a chance to show how well its processes fare when not held back by Intel's manufacturing troubles. It's not clear how well Intel will execute its plans, but Bajarin is more optimistic about Intel's abilities now that than he's been in the last decade, he said. These announcements are a huge step in the right direction. Is it just me, or does this just sound like a lot of wishful thinking? Because that's what I'm getting, because they have no customers for the new stuff. Their 7 nanometer is 2 years away, while others are already in 5 nanometer. I don't see where this is going to be successful. Just my
yeah.
It sounds like they're too late to the game with the nanometers,
Yeah.
And when are those foundries going to be up and running? Well, I think they're going to be further behind.
Yeah, I think the next 5 years, ARM is definitely going to be in the dominant.
Exactly.
Dominant of all new computer purchases. Apple has already been getting lots and lots of new sales.
Exactly. Hey, Easy's in here. Hey, Eric, good to see you, brother.
Oh, what's up, Easy?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. I really don't know what I'm going to do.
I mean, I hope they do okay. It just sounds like a lot of wishful thinking to me. All right, we're going to go to the LG story again, because this is more or less a follow-up from a couple of weeks ago. So you're going to take that one, right, Ted?
Yep. Hold on.
All right. I'm sharing now. And this was on macrumors.com.
Hold on. What's this? Brian is talking about they already have devices with, what's this, Brian? Devices with 4x4 MIMO? Brian is saying he's not impressed with OnePlus's 2x2 MIMO.
Yeah, but he said that. I didn't see the 4x4 comment. And I'm not finding 2x2. Okay, I don't see the 4x. Oh, here it is. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. And he said for a while, so yeah, I can see why he's not impressed, Okay,
all right,
when you're ready.
Have you seen those commercials? While I find the story, apparently Intel hired that Justin Long guy, that, I'm a Mac, and he was going through.
I saw some reference to it somewhere, but didn't really pay any attention. And of course, people my age have problem with attention anyway. You know that.
Apparently, the joke was, hold on. I'm not sure how I feel about this lighting all of a sudden.
Well, then lighten up. Oh, I couldn't resist that.
Yeah. So funny that the sun went and set, George. But apparently, in the commercial he was doing for Intel, just the I'm a Mac guy just along was like, oh my gosh, these MacBooks only have one port.
Oh, yes, I did see some of that. Yes, I did. Yeah.
And apparently the joke was that it was Intel who was pushing, for there to only be one port.
Right.
Yeah. So that, you would only need one port.
And I saw some references from others mentioning that they thought that was pretty weak. That was a pretty weak shot.
Yeah.
You having problems?
No problems. I have it here. Immersive mode activated. All right, let's go through this one. LG is looking to shut down smartphone business after failing to find a buyer.
Yep.
And this is business according to Korea Herald. This is serious, guys.
Yeah, well, remember the Vietnamese group was supposed to buy them. Well, I gather that deal fell through,
How did it fall through that quick? This was the rumor. That was a rumor last week.
Well, it was the rumor 2 weeks ago, I think. But yeah, I guess they stopped talks.
Brian, members of the no one will miss OnePlus. We're talking about LG, Brian. Brian, stay on track. We're talking about LG.
Yeah, but you know what Brian thinks of OnePlus, and he won't even call it OnePlus. Oh, that's the first time he usually calls it Dumb Plus. So.
In January, LG announced that it was considering options for an exit from the smartphone industry, including sale, withdrawal, and downsizing. Though LG was once the world's third largest smartphone maker and a sizable competitor to Apple in the industry, this company's smartphone business has seen declining shipments and include losses of $4.5 billion over the past 5 years, leading need for an urgent reevaluation of the division. LG reportedly entered talks with Vietnamese Vingroup and automaker Volkswagen about purchasing the company's smartphone business, but negotiations did not lead to an agreement. Although the decision was yet to be confirmed, industry insiders report that LG is now likely to shut down the smartphone business instead of selling it. A source speaking to the Korea Herald explained, LG reportedly had talks with others over the sale of the unit, but apparently there was not much progress in the negotiations. It seems that selling its entire mobile business appears to be difficult at this point. It is a pandemic.
Well, keep in mind, they've had 23 losing quarters in a row, too. That kind of, put some damper on it, I would think, too.
Well, that's LG's fault. That's not to say,
I agree, But that's 23 losing quarters in a row. That's some serious losing.
Yeah, I don't know. Why can't LG scale back? Are they not selling phones in Korea, their hometown? Ooh.
Yeah,
but you make a profit in your own hometown? Is that what you're saying?
Because part of the problem is for 5 years now they've been trying to do something innovative, like they did with the 5, with the 7, and now they're doing. They were trying to do the rollable. That you can't. I don't think you can scale back when you're trying to come up with something nobody else is doing. That's what I think part of the problem.
I think you can scale back. Sony did it. Sony's done it annoyingly.
And how many phones does Sony sell in America? 2?
They sold less. They're selling less phones, but they're now able to turn a profit on the few phones that they sell.
Yeah, by making the most expensive or some of the most expensive phones in the world. Okay, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, can they just focus on their own market? Just sell where they're selling well.
But I think competitively, if you just focus on Korea, you're going to be considered a loser, because you're not going to sell many phones just focusing on Korea. It's my guess.
Well, no, you would obviously have to scale down your business to, match one country.
Yeah. And, from anybody else, especially Samsung, you're going to look like a total loser just selling to Korea, in my opinion.
And what was in this? Oh, and LG sells they don't have to bother selling flagships here. They could just sell their budget phones, which do okay here.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's because you find them in Metro and Boost and all those places. Ryan says, I will miss LG now. Last SD card supporter, headphone jack backer, that's true. First wide angle camera, that's true. Implementer, and first QHD screen show. That's all very true.
So with LG's internal restructuring plan now reaching its conclusion and no buyer having been found, the company is said to be leaning towards cutting its losses by closing the smartphone division fully. LG's recently announced smartphone projects such as Rainbow and Rollable are believed to have been scrapped as the company looks to utilize its existing mobile workforce elsewhere in the business, such as vehicle components solution division. LG is expected to publicize the decision about its smartphone business unit next month after a board meeting.
Yeah. Damn. I didn't even know they had a vehicle component solutions division. I didn't know they did anything with vehicles. Yeah. But I know they make a ton of money in washers and dryers and refrigerators and TVs. Anyway, I just thought we should share that the fact that they've gone from maybe somebody will buy them to nobody's buying them, period.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? That sunset looks better on the TV than it does in person.
Okay.
It's like, what? No, damn. It's like
Renz gave me a super chat. Thank you, Renz, as always.
Thanks, Renz.
Very faithful guy. Thank you, sir.
Hold on, let me go close this door. The bugs are starting to come in.
Okay. So, folks, now that Ted's going over to the door, I guess we can call him a dork. Oh. Every time you think I can't get worse, I manage somehow. And I'm very proud of that fact.
I'm just grateful you waited till I was off camera till you did that.
Exactly.
Who's he saying, Nigel? Huawei Mate 40 has expandable. Yeah, Nigel, isn't it proprietary?
Has expanding memory. Okay.
Yeah, it is proprietary, Nigel.
Okay, so yeah, you can't count it as being general then.
It's not only is it proprietary, like they are the only ones that make it.
Right.
Yeah, that's what proprietary also means. But so quite expensive. And by expensive, you remember the memory cards that the PSP Vita took? It's more expensive than those.
But I think Huawei somewhat justifies their expense because their cameras are right up there with the best in the world, always.
What about the expense for the memory cards?
No, I understand. I'm just thinking as part of the whole thing. Oh, for the memory cards is separate? Yeah, I don't know how you justify that. Most of my phones don't have memory cards anymore, so I'm not really worried about it. All right, so we'll go on to the next story, another one that I just thought was interesting, and of course affects us all. I don't care who you are or where you are, I guess.
Nope, doesn't affect me. 2 shots. I got that COVID Moderna. I got that vaccine.
You got them both. Hey, as long as you didn't get the AstraZeneca, we're good.
Got that. No, it was the Pfizer. I'm 3 days into my gestation period, but yeah.
Good for you.
I'm clean.
Okay. You sound like an ex-junkie. I'm clean now, brother.
I was going for Marco BA's vaccinated song.
I don't even know that one. All right.
So
this is a story about vaccines, okay? So this is on CNN.com. And what are you doing? Don't do that. I'm trying to pull this down.
You don't want to play that on Hello Pillow speaker?
What are you playing? Is that?
Nothing is playing right now.
What? Nothing's happening.
We're hearing a TV or something.
hold on. Brian is saying something. Renz is saying something. Huawei nano memory cards cost $20 a. Oh, is that all? They must have gone down. Wow.
So they're not
They were
expensive.
way expensive 2 years ago.
Okay.
Thanks for that.
But,
Thanks for that tip, Renz.
but see, Nigel's saying it depends on where in the world you live. So maybe in the UK, maybe they're still expensive. What Nigel's saying.
Yeah, this is a job for Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, continue with the story, George.
All right, this is your turn. You want me to go? I'll go for it. All right. CNN. Here's how much vaccines are selling for on the illegal market. I don't know how to get rid of this ad up top. Okay, now it went away. Good. CNN Business. Counterfeit vaccine cards and what are being billed as COVID-19 vaccines are now for sale on the dark web, according to a report released Tuesday. Security researchers at cybersecurity firm Checkpoint Software said they've discovered listings for COVID-19 vaccines from various brands such as AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson for up to $1,000 a dose, as well as at least 20 vaccine certificates for $200 each. That's what's going to be a hot seller. I'll bet you the certificates. The dark web.
I see that.
Yeah, the dark web is a part of the internet not detected by search engines.
How much you get those certificates?
$200 each.
So if you go to Krispy Kreme at least 200 times by the time the year's up, it pays for itself.
It is a good analogy. Since I come from Jersey and New York, because I don't go to Krispy Kreme, I go to Dunkin' Donuts. The dark web is part of the internet not detected by search engines, where cyber criminals often sell and buy illicit materials, from credit card numbers and drugs to cyber weapons, and now apparently coronavirus-related products. A Checkpoint spokesperson told CNN Business it's uncertain if the vaccines are real, but said they appear to be legitimate from pictures of packaging and medical certificates. I don't think you could determine if they're real from the pictures. Advertisements for vaccines on the dark web are up 300% in the past 3 months, according to the report. Meanwhile, vaccine certificates or proof of vaccination cards are created and printed to order. I can see why. The buyer provides the name and dates they want on the certificate, and the vendor replies with what Checkpoint said resembles an authentic card. Yeah, I can see where that might be easy to duplicate. The counterfeit products are being marketed to people who need to board planes, cross borders, start a new job, or other activities that may require someone to give proof of vaccination. Oh, that's going to sell like hotcakes, I'll bet you, those cards. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC logo, including a picture of an eagle, is featured on the top right corner of the fake vaccine cards, just like the real ones. The Checkpoint spokesperson said that the company estimates vendors are capable of pumping out fake vaccination cards by the thousands, if not tens of thousands, based on requests. Also for sale, negative COVID-19 test results for $25. Okay, yeah, that should sell pretty good too. Some experts say illegal markets around vaccine cards and digital passports are inevitable. I agree. Not everyone has access to the vaccine. Rollouts are slow in many countries, and people are tired of lockdowns and curfews, said Michaela Menting, who covers cybersecurity for ABI Research. If people can easily get hold of a fake passport to avoid restrictions, then they will, and an illicit market will spring up around it. This news comes as government agencies warn people to stop posting pictures of their vaccine card on social media to avoid potential identity theft or be targeted for phishing schemes. I could see where that would be easy to copy from that too. So just interesting. Yeah, I think the vaccine cards are going to be a huge market. And if you can get negative tests for $25, I'll bet you they're selling like hotcakes already. So Very
Yeah.
interesting stuff. Yeah,
That's
that was kind of that's kind of inevitable, I think. You know,
I don't know why. The vaccine is supposed to be free. It's free.
it's free some places. Here, some of the guys on my job, some have gotten them for free, some have paid. So,
Can't even remember the last time I paid for a vaccine. Like
I
6
haven't.
years ago.
I haven't had a vaccine since 1989. I also haven't had the flu since 1989. So, but then I do have the strongest immune system of anybody I know. So.
Hold on. What was I gonna? I got it.
Oh, Nigel told how much he paid for his nano memory card. 32 pounds, basically. Sounds pretty expensive. What are you playing? What is that?
Okay.
What
That's
is
the
it? What? Oh,
That's
okay. Sounds kind of funky. I'll give it that.
Yeah, you don't know about Mark Rabia. Yeah, he's a funk master.
Okay, I like funk.
But yeah. Oh, I'm sharing something with you, George.
Of course, you know what you just did to my mind, right? Now my mind is uptown, funk it up. Uptown, funk it up. All right, you share. Okay, you want me to add it in? All right.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, these are the cards.
Yeah, I was corroborating with what it's
Nigel said.
Yeah, technically, I think we're being over. I'm not sure how the currency version works out. I think technically the UK would be paying more at $31 sterling, and we're only paying $39, $40 for 120 gigabytes. Of course, though, the Philippines is winning if they're only paying $20 for 120.
Yeah, that's a pretty big difference there.
It's a huge difference. Jeez.
Yep. So good for them. But see, Nigel can afford this stuff because Nigel buys every accessory in the world for his phones, his watches. It's incredible, you know. No, Renz. The answer is no. At least not for me, that is. Took my lip 4 days to heal from the last time I blew the sax.
4 days.
Yeah, because I haven't put the sax in my mouth for 4 years. You know.
Say that again?
I said I hadn't put the sax in my mouth for 4 years up until I played 3 weeks ago.
He added the guys. Nice save, George.
All right, next story. And this one is on you. Now you owe me one, sucker. Okay, this is the Tesla story, right? The Bitcoin story.
Yep, CNN.
Transistors into this chip.
Hold on. All right.
I think your computer's out of control. It's trying to take over.
It was the ad, George.
Okay, just saying.
And it appears CNN doesn't allow me to go into immersive mode to hide the ads either, the bastards.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, this is powerful capitalism on this side. Okay. All right. Oh my gosh, it's got the pop-up screens. I can't.
Yes, they do. Yeah, I know it's a pain in the butt. But I found with the last story, it finally went away. So I'm waiting for it to go away.
Oh, no, another pop-up. CNN Business Nightcap. Do you want to read in the nightly newsletter? No, I don't want to have a nightly newsletter. Go away.
Yeah, that's not showing here.
What browser are you using, George?
I'm using Chrome. I always use Chrome. I use Chrome for everything.
I'm using Edge right now. I'm not trying to get dependent on too much Google products.
Well, you probably shouldn't be using that because you seem like you're getting very edgy. Ooh.
London CNN Business. Bitcoin fans looking for ways to spend their cryptocurrency fortunes can add a big ticket item to the list. A Tesla. You can now buy Tesla with Bitcoin, CEO Elon Musk said in a tweet on Wednesday. Bitcoin paid to Tesla will not be converted by the electric car company into regular currency, he added in a subsequent tweet. Musk said that the option to pay by Bitcoin will be available outside in the U.S. later this year. The price of a simple Bitcoin climbed to nearly 3% to $56,242 shortly after Musk's tweet. More than enough to buy an entry-level Tesla Model 3, which costs just under $40,000. Tesla's most expensive vehicle, the Model X Plaid, starts around $120,000, which is slightly more than 2 Bitcoin.
So 1 Bitcoin could buy you a Tesla. That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, not only just a Tesla, it could buy you a Tesla with the assisted driving feature turned on.
Okay, cool.
Maybe even the long range option too. Bitcoin paid to Tesla will not be converted by the electric car company into regular currency. I already read that. Dan Ives, an analyst with Wedbush Securities, said this is a seminal amount for Tesla and for the crypto world.
Seminal moment.
Oh, seminal moment. Thanks, George.
Yeah. Okay.
We expect less than 5% of transactions to be through Bitcoin over the next 12 to 18 months. However, this could move higher over time as crypto acceptance starts to ramp up over the coming years.
You can count on that.
Tesla has previously signaled its plans to accept the digital currency from buyers in its annual filing. The SEC last month, the company said that it expects to begin accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment in the near future, initially on a limited basis. So I guess the limited basis is that they're going to do the U.S. first?
I would think so, but I'm not sure.
Tesla is said to invested $1.5 billion in Bitcoin as part of a strategy to invest a portion of the company's cash in certain specified alternative reserve assets.
Pretty smart, I'd say.
Yeah, I think that seems to keep an eye on that shit.
Well, but right now, they're going to have to pass a law if they want to stop it because there's nothing illegal about Bitcoin.
No, but what if the purpose was to, hide your assets?
But people have been doing this for 12 years or so and nothing illegal about it, even if they're hiding their assets. And I'm sure a lot of people have been for years because Bitcoin only got really outed in the last year or so.
So someone buys Bitcoin from Tesla and Tesla never converts the money into actual currency.
Right.
Tesla could technically hide that sale.
They could hide that money, and they could hide that money legally. That's the point.
Although technically, it doesn't really benefit them though as a company to hide a sale. Be like, oh,
hide a sale, but it does benefit them it does benefit them as a company if they're going to use it to buy something else for the company that accepts Bitcoin as the payment. So anyway, it's perfectly legal, so I think it's cool. But you're right; they could hide it from the government, and the government can't do nothing about it unless they pass a law.
Since then, the company has given Zach Kitcoin, its chief CFO, a new title, Master of Coin.
Sounds like a name in a game, doesn't it? Master of Coin.
Musk, meanwhile, gained the extra title Techno King of Tesla, according to a SEC filing. Okay. Musk was in the past expressed skepticism about cryptocurrency, said in an interview on Clubhouse earlier this year that he thinks Bitcoin is on the verge of getting broad acceptance by conventional finance people.
I agree.
He said he should have bought the digital currency 8 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on both of those statements. Yeah, it's about to explode with the money crowd, that's for sure. So I just thought that was interesting. All right, moving on. Well, we're moving on down. Okay. Okay, next story. This is a follow-up story from a couple of weeks ago, basically, because a couple of weeks ago, Arizona was thinking about passing a law so that Apple and Google couldn't collect the 30% from the developers. And this was an interesting and to me a surprising story. And this is on The Verge again. Arizona Senate skips vote on controversial bill that would regulate Apple and Google app stores. The bill went poof.
That sucks.
Yeah, that surprised me. The Arizona State, because the House in Arizona had already passed it. The Arizona State Senate was scheduled to vote on an unprecedented and controversial bill Wednesday that would have imposed far-reaching changes on how Apple and Google operate their respective mobile app stores, specifically by allowing alternative in-app payment systems. But the vote never happened, having been passed over on the schedule without explanation. The Verge watched every other bill on the schedule be debated and voted on over the Senate's live stream. But Arizona HB 2005, listed first on the agenda, never came up. One notable Apple critic is now accusing the iPhone maker of stepping in to stop the vote, saying the company hired a former chief of staff to Arizona Governor Doug Ducey to broker a deal that prevented the bill from being heard in the Senate and ultimately voted on. Why do I think that is probably absolutely true? This is after the legislation, an amendment to the existing HB 2005 law, passed the Arizona House of Representatives earlier this month in a landmark 31-29 vote. The big show turned out to be a no-show. The bill was killed in midair while on the agenda with a backroom deal. Apple has hired Governor's former chief of staff, and word is that he brokered a deal to prevent this from even being heard. That's pretty good clout, said Basecamp co-founder David Heinemer Hansen, a fierce Apple critic who submitted testimony in support of HB 2005 on Twitter this afternoon. Apple declined to comment. Why am I not surprised? It was well known prior to today's scheduled vote that both Apple and Google had hired lobbyists to combat the bill, according to a report from Protocol, because it directly threatened the company's industry standard App Store commission of 30%. If the Arizona bill passed the Senate and was signed into law by Ducey, it would have made the state a haven for app makers looking to sidestep the App Store and Google Play Store payment systems, which are the mechanisms the company used to take their cuts of all app sales and in-app purchases of digital goods. It could have also caused all sorts of additional headaches for both companies by forcing them to either institute a patchwork system of state-specific enforcement or by potentially forcing them to stop doing business in Arizona altogether while opening the door to lawsuits against the state. In testimony in front of Arizona's House earlier this month, Apple's chief compliance officer, Kyle Andier, argued that the App Store provides enough value to developers to justify the 30% cut. Well, who was he to tell developers that he's giving them enough value? I think that's up to them, isn't it? The commission has been described by some special interests as a payment processing fee, as if Apple is just swiping a credit card. That's terribly misleading. Apple provides developers an enormous amount of value, both the store to distribute their apps around the world and the studio to create them. This is what the commission reflects, Anders said in written testimony. Yet this bill tells Apple that it cannot use its own checkout lane and collect the commission in the store we built. This would allow billion-dollar developers to take all of the App Store's value for free. They always bring up these billion-dollar developers. And how many billions of developers aren't billion-dollar? I mean, it's so stupid. It irks me, and you can tell, I'm sure.
Yeah, I see it.
Even if for every one of those billion-dollar developers, there's probably 10,000 developers that nobody's heard of. So stop saying the billion-dollar developers all the time. Even if they're making millions or even billions of dollars doing it. Yeah, and I bet you can count on two hands how many of that's happening with.
Yeah, George. All developer lives matter.
I agree. There you go, brother. There you go. Here, we should go out in front of Apple and write on the street, "Developer Lives Matter" in spray paint. I like that. The bill is a government mandate that Apple gave away the App Store. It's worth noting that the bill also faced considerable opposition in the Arizona House, not by big business loving Republicans, but instead the Democrats. A number of Democrats publicly objected to the bill and voted against it on the grounds it was potentially unconstitutional for interfering with interstate commerce. I disagree with that. And also that it interjected Arizona into a California legal fight between game developer Epic Games and both Apple and Google over the removal of Fortnite from the Android and iOS platforms. Well, that is true. The bill, which was primarily sponsored by Representative Regina Cobb, Republican 5, is one of many that have popped up in the state legislatures around the country, challenging Apple and Google's longstanding policies around the mobile app economy. These bills can be traced back to growing antitrust pressure against big tech mounting in both Europe and Washington, D.C. That's true. And they represent a new local and state front in the ongoing fight over the tech industry's outsized power and whatever methods lawmakers may employ to try and rein it in. Other arenas include California, where Epic launched its own fight, and the European Union, which launched antitrust investigations into the App Store and Apple Pay over anti-competitive claims. Both Apple and Google operate the two most dominant app stores in the world, and while the Google Play Store allows alternative app stores and therefore alternative payment systems, Apple does not. That means all digital purchases on iOS are subject to Apple's mandated 30% cut, or in some cases, a reduced 15% cut, though Apple has been criticized for cutting secret deals. That's what it did, like those it made with Amazon over Prime Video subscriptions and later in-app purchases, to exempt certain types of purchases when it's strategically convenient. I agree, that's totally unfair to everybody else. Both companies in the last 6 months announced changes to the commission structure that allows for smaller developers, which represent the vast majority, that's true, of app makers on both Android and iOS, to claim a reduced 15% cut, though it has done little. I think it should say to assuage the App Store critics. Yeah, they need a 2 in here. The antitrust proposals like HB 2005 are largely the work of the Coalition for App Fairness. The CAF is an industry group formed last year consisting of Epic, Spotify, Tinder, parent company Match Group, and dozens of other companies that have grown increasingly dissatisfied with the status quo of the mobile app economy and the App Store's owners' ironclad developer agreements. Some of these companies, like Spotify, have for years complained of unfair treatment from Apple and have accused the company of prioritizing its own software over competitors through its use of App Store rules and iOS requirements. The CAF began lobbying lawmakers earlier this year. First in North Dakota, that's right, they almost passed the same type of bill, and now in multiple states, including Arizona, to instigate the introduction of bills like HB 2005. While the North Dakota bill failed, Arizona's was seen as more promising alternative because it focused solely on in-app payment systems, while the North Dakota one also mandated that operating system owners allow for alternative app stores too. The legislative session is not over. We will continue to push for solutions that will increase choice, support app developers and small businesses, and put a stop to monopolistic practices, said Megan DiMuzio, the CAF's executive director, in a statement to The Verge. Now the bill's fate is now in question. I thought I read that wrong, but that's right. And it's not immediately clear what happened. Representative Cobb, the bill sponsor, did not respond to a request for comment. In other words, you put a lot of money in your pocket, didn't you? The Arizona Governor's Office and the Office of the Arizona State Senate Majority Leader Rick Gray also did not immediately respond to requests for comment. That just tells me both those guys got a lot of big checks somewhere, probably in some offshore account. But I think this is going to continue, and I think either one state or other is going to get it through, and Google and Apple are going to have to respond to it, or the federal government is going to force them to change their rules. But they're not going to be able to hang on to this 30% forever. That's my guess. There's too much pressure, and the EU is all over them.
Yeah.
This is probably the first time I've ever agreed with the EU ever. Okay, on to the next story. And this one's yours.
First time you agreed with the EU ever. What, you weren't agreeing with them when they were trying to force Apple to adopt USB-C on everything? For real?
No, you're right. Yeah, I did agree with that. Yeah. But all the other ones that they went after Google on, I disagreed with. And you can see that in my articles. I wrote probably a dozen articles about the EU and Google. Okay, I'm sharing now. And
The man behind Google's next billion users is leaving the company.
yeah.
What you need to know. Cesar Sengupta is head of Google's Next Billion Users Initiative, and he's leaving the company. Along with Next Billion Users Initiative, Sengupta also played an important role in Google's payments business success in the country. He hasn't revealed exactly what he plans to do next. Let's see. He has announced that he's leaving the company after nearly 15 years to start a new journey. In a statement sent to TechCrunch, Google spokesperson said, after 15 years with Google, Cesar Sengupta has made a personal decision to leave the company and start something entrepreneurial outside of Google. Through his time at Google, Cesar has played a key role in starting, building, and leading initiatives such as Chrome OS, Next Billion Users, and Google Pay. We are excited to see what he builds next and wish him the best on his new journey. Under its Next Billion Users initiative, the search giant brought the internet connectivity to hundreds of railway stations and public places across India and other developing markets. Launched Google Pay in the Indian market, and introduced products like Android Go, Dotally, never heard of that one.
Me too.
Dubs, that must be an Indian thing. Google Files, which is one of the best Android apps, was also developed as part of the Next Billion Users initiative. Additionally, Sengupta led Google Payments businesses in India, which has seen great success over the last 3 years. Cool.
Okay. So I just thought that was interesting that he was leaving. But okay, I guess his influence was mostly in India, but it sounds like he did some pretty good stuff. So, especially with the Android Go thing.
Is that still doing well? Yeah, that is still doing well, isn't it? Yeah.
I think it's still ongoing. I don't know if it's doing well. Android Go was developed specifically for the Indian market. So
for developing markets, yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate Android Go actually, because they bought, the miniature version of apps like, Google Go, Email Go, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Last story. This one's on me. Unless you want to do the one you owe me, of course. I'm sharing.
I'll do it.
You want to do it? Okay.
Yeah, I'll do it.
All right. Sharing now. This is on CNET again. Okay.
Apple reportedly bans facial scans of employees, but not factory workers. Didn't know. Well, yeah, I guess Apple has the factories for its MacBooks, right?
Exactly.
Apple's new security guidelines reportedly increases surveillance camera use and requires background checks on factories as well. Yeah, I understand the background checks.
Yeah, so they're discriminating against factory workers, as far as I can see. But go ahead.
Apple recently banned its manufacturing partners from collecting facial recognition scans and fingerprint data of Apple recently banned its manufacturing partners from collecting facial recognition scans and fingerprint data of Apple employees who visit the manufacturing facilities.
So in other words, if they walk into a factory, they can still scan the factory workers, but not other Apple employees who come in.
I get it.
Yeah.
citing an internal Apple documented review that outlet that also reports that new privacy rule does not apply to more than 1 million factory workers who make Apple products. The internal document is reportedly part of Apple's new security protocols aimed at reducing intellectual property theft, and also includes a mandated increase in surveillance camera use at manufacturing facilities, along with upgrades to component tracking systems that monitors Apple's hardware during production. The document requires manufacturers to conduct criminal background checks on factory workers as well. We do not ask our suppliers to collect biometric data on their employees, nor do we ask them to make sure their employees are of age or working good conditions. Apple does comply with relevant laws, including GDPR. Is that you?
That's my Samsung watch. Yeah, sorry, I didn't turn it off.
If a supplier wishes to collect biometrics on their employees as part of their security protocols, it must be in compliance with the law, Apple said in email to CNET. Meanwhile, other companies like Amazon are ramping up their use of facial recognition technology on workers, according to multiple reports. Amazon delivery drivers are required to consent to biometric monitoring in order to keep their jobs. Monitoring comes from cameras installed in delivery vehicles, which will take workers' photos and track their driving for unsafe behaviors.
Okay, so what I think is going to happen, because stories like this is going to create a mess. Because on the one hand, to me, it's like it's discriminating against the factory workers, and I think the factory workers would have a strong case that that's true. But if you're going to let people work in a factory, you better have cameras on them. So I think what it's going to make them lean to is putting it on their regular employees. But of course, then the employees are taking the court, so it's going to be a mess.
It's two separate entities. This is it's the factories that Apple hires, and those factories have their own rules and regulations and policies.
Yes, but this is based on an Apple policy, not the factory's policy.
That their employees are exempt.
Right. I think it's going to create a big mess. That's
I think the bigger mess, though, is Amazon. These companies having biometric securities or monitoring on their drivers. That's annoying as hell.
Now, I do agree with Amazon as far as if their drivers have stuff on their driving record, that should come to light. But I don't see them having cameras on them, and I think they're out of line at that point.
My gosh, why is it people can't strike like they used to?
The old style stuff doesn't even apply anymore. His Ren's comment. Look at this. I saw a reference. Did you guys watch John Prosser shaved off his eyebrows? And on the next video, his upload said that Face ID wouldn't recognize it without the eyebrows. So I did see a reference that it doesn't recognize him anymore because he shaved his eyebrows off. I didn't know why he shaved off his eyebrows.
But he can train it though, right?
I don't know. Maybe he can't. I don't know. Maybe it's no difference than a mask. I don't know.
Once you once you put it to your face and you keep,
you mean you could delete the old image and add, or you could just add another image, I would think, another scan.
It's supposed to learn your face.
I wonder why he shaved off his eyebrows, because of something he said in the video and that turned out to be wrong. I don't know.
Like a dare? You mean like a dare thing?
Yeah, I'm not a Prosser fan, so I stopped subscribing to him maybe a year and a half ago. So. Although I realize he's pretty accurate with his rumors. Okay, this is your part of the show.
All right, let me share it. I think I can share it.
No, I already. Oh, okay, yeah, you share it, and that way you can do the up and down stuff. Okay. Just waiting for it. There it is. Okay, there we go.
Boop, boop, boop. All right, let's get it. So, ladies and gentlemen, fellow fans and tech nerds, do you have a story that you think we should pay attention to, or other people like yourself should see? But just go ahead and share it on reddit.com/glowing rectangles. Hold on. Why is this not getting bigger? Get
There you
this.
go. Why can't I do that? I can't do that.
Yes, again, reddit.com r/going rectangles. Author of this subreddit is none other than Juan Bagnell, aka some gadget guy. And he created this subreddit so that anybody can go ahead and just share a story, video, or an article, simple post about tech that you think other people, like-minded individuals will find interesting.
And it can be your article, your video, or anybody else's. Anything you want to share that you think people should see.
That's right. Feel free to self-promote. And while you're also there, go ahead and just give some upvotes on any story you find interesting. So, the top story today is by Joshua Vergara. He looks at the real-world camera test of the Vivo X Pro.
Okay.
Upvote to that, but I don't really give a damn about that phone. Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, 2 months later. Yeah, whatever, J-Well. Where's your story, Mobile Geezer, on your Galaxy S21 Ultra?
I haven't made one yet. I'm way behind on stuff. So my Galaxy Buds from the day I got this phone are still sitting there unopened. I'll try to get them open this week.
Wow. Also, third story on the list is a comparison by Fandroid on the OnePlus 9 Pro and the Pixel 5 camera comparison. And look at this. According to the thumbnail, we can see that we are getting some much nicer contrast and blues on the OnePlus 9 Pro.
Yep.
And more detail on the stone.
But keep in mind, we should be getting that on the OnePlus 9 Pro, because what are they all saying? The good thing about the OnePlus 9 Pro is the color processing. And
further interest is the checkout, the Friday checkout by TechAlter.
You skipped the fourth story.
Yeah, it's just MacBooks and laptop stuff.
No, one more. Keep going. Where is she? I saw her. There she is.
Another look at the laptop, the Lenovo Yoga 7i.
She's a very good reviewer. She's very good. I've been subscribed to her for about a year.
I don't know, if I need a laptop review, I usually just go to what's her name?
Okay, but Erica Griffin. Oh,
Lisa Gate.
Oh, Lisa. Yeah, she's the best. But but this girl also does really good phone reviews too. So
that is it. Unless you're interested in a Ziva One travel kit, nah. Okay. Nothing from you. Oh, we got easy. Hey, Eric.
There you go.
Eric
made it.
You appeared as a special guest on the Gadget Chats podcast.
Gadget Chat, is that Spectacular Gadgets?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm thinking it might be. And speaking of it.
And that's all, folks.
Okay. No, you're supposed to say Adi. Okay, sorry.
What's Ren saying? If Apple didn't have a March 23rd event, what are you saying, Dad?
Did they have a March 20? Oh, wait a minute. If Apple didn't have a March 23rd event, he shaved his eyebrows. So that's why he shaved them. Like I said, he predicted something that didn't happen. Plus, all of that video upload money will go to a foundation for kids who lost their hair. Oh, that's nice. That's what I watched before. Okay, good. At least it went to a good cause. I like that. But the most interesting part is that it doesn't recognize his face anymore. Yeah. But you're right. It'll be interesting to see if he does a new scan, then it's okay.
Bet you he wants that Touch ID now.
Exactly. Yeah. How about that? And Ren said the one he predicted was moved to April. And I'll bet you it's because of chips. There's been a whole bunch of automobiles that have been pushed back because they can't get chips for the cars. And it seems like the two big industries that are suffering are cars and phones above everybody else.
Nigel's asking me if Nigel, you still here? He has to be. He just emailed me. Yeah, I have a Twitter.
Well, send him your Twitter. Don't be a twit. Send him your Twitter. Oh, I love it.
All right, let me send it on the chat so that all you guys can follow me on Twitter.
All right. Here comes Ted Twitter handle. Grab it, everybody. Ted puts out good stuff, I have to say.
On Twitter?
No. I meant as far as videos. Most of what I see you do on Twitter is liking something that I put up.
So yeah, I guess by extension it is good stuff then, huh?
Yeah, okay. I didn't even think of that, but okay, I'll take it.
Let me just.
And Renz is saying, I'll still go with mechanical cars rather than electric cars with chips anytime.
Saying Reds, right?
Yeah.
You want a car that can get hacked?
Yeah, but Renz, you're right. But I have always said, and keep in mind, you don't know anybody, you'll never know anybody who loves driving more than I do. But at the point when electric cars, self-driving cars become truly safe, they're going to be safer than any human being could do. So that's when I think we should go. Now, of course, that's going to take a while, but once they're somewhat perfected, it's going to be a lot less killings than with people driving. I'll tell you that.
Oh.
Renz is saying, Renz, I'm supposed to be the old guy here, not you.
Speaking of, how is your new car doing, George?
I love my car. It has the most gigantic moonroof I've ever seen. It's like half the entire roof of the car. I love it. Almost all the time I get in, the first thing I do is open the moonroof. Yeah, it's much higher end than I thought it was when I first got it. Yeah. So I'm loving it. And of course, it's the first car I've ever had with a camera. And working for Enterprise, I'm used to having cameras. So I used to get in my car and in Eleanor's car and say, okay, where's the camera? Forgetting that I didn't have a camera. Now I have a camera. I like it.
Apparently that's supposed to be, speaking of Reds, it's supposed to be a self-timed self-driving cars that's coming up in Arlington here in Dallas. Well,
okay. And you're probably right, Renz. It's going to take a long time to perfect it to the point where they're truly safe. So,
by the way, Nigel, there's my Twitter. It's in the comments.
I'm not seeing it yet.
George. Yeah, it's on top of Reds. I'll be a senior by the time.
Oh, okay. There's Ted's Twitter. So at SAEET Ted. So
yeah,
go follow him, folks. This means, of course, this puts pressure on you to put more stuff on Twitter. You realize that, right?
Hardly.
It's all Nigel's fault. And Renz, you'll be a senior by then. And knowing me, unless Jesus has other ideas, I'll still be around when that does happen. I'll bet you when I'm about 110, those cars will be safer than human beings driving. And yes, I intend to still be here at 110, and what I'm shooting for is to still be healthy at 110. That's an absolute fact. I'm not kidding.
You remind me of what's that show called? Parks and Rec. This guy, Rob Lowe's character in Parks and Rec.
How old is he?
Oh, I think he was like I feel like he was in his 40s, but he was aiming to be, living up to 100.
Well, what I always say, most people, I think Michigan State did the study back in the early 90s, and they did thousands of people. They found that almost everybody has an idea of the head at the age they're going to die. They found that most people die within 2 years before or after what they always thought. My always thought has always been 120.
Huh.
So I expect to live until I'm at least 118. But when I was in my 40s, I promised myself I would play tennis for my 100th birthday. I still intend to keep that promise.
Yeah, tennis on a wheelchair is still tennis.
I can still punch guys in Texas,
Let's see.
I like you way too much.
84 would be good. And it's not just the number, though. I want to be able to,
You want to die at 84. If you're healthy, you want to live as long as you can.
I don't know.
I've never
I'm just being realistic on how my health would be. Like, I want to go before I needed assistance to use the restroom.
And I agree, but I'm 76 years old, and I'm in better health than I was at 60, 50, 40, or 30 right now.
If I need adult diapers, like, to see 100, then I don't want it.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I agree with you there. You know what's funny? On my job, right? Just about all the drivers are retired. When I drive Chase, which is I'm the one that takes them to get the cars or picks them up after they drop the cars off, almost every stop, and they're all in the 60s and 70s, half of them have to run to the bathroom. While me at 76, I will go all day and come home before I have to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, why do these people have to go to the bathroom every half an hour? I don't have to do that. I go 6 to 11 hours.
Wow.
So there's something different about me.
Yeah, my bladder is not that cooperative.
Oh, well, yeah, I think part of it is because I used to drive trucks for so many years, and I trained myself. Like whenever we go on a trip or I go on a trip, I gas up. I don't go to the bathroom until the next time I gas up. And I don't even have to go then. But I see no reason to stop to go to the bathroom because I'm trained to go 6 to 12 hours without going to the bathroom. And everybody's been telling me for years, this is not good for you. Then why am I so freaking healthy?
As Ren says, though, being a senior citizen is already an achievement. So take pride in that.
Well, I intend to be a senior citizen for at least the next 40 years. So deal with me. You got to deal with my humor. Ted's stomach is probably turning at that thought. That's nice. I just want to see my daughter walk down the aisle if I'll be kicking the bucket again. Life goals for me. That's a good life goal, Renz.
Yeah.
You need to let us know how old your daughter is now, then.
Yeah, Renz. Well, look at us pausing while he tells us. Again, Renz, how old is your daughter now?
Yeah. Good for you, Renz.
Oh,
no, she's 5. Okay, so that is a pretty good goal then. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But you have to understand how my attitude about my health is there's nothing special about me. And if I can do this, so can everybody else. But what a lot of people have been telling me in answer to that lately is not everybody has your force of will to make yourself keep doing this year after year. And I guess that's true. Yeah.
Speaking of, Pulitzer Prize winning author Larry McMurtry has passed away at the tender age of 84.
Okay. And now, 84 is an age where I consider, okay, I can see dying at 84. But when I hear people dying of old age at 75, 70, that's way too young to be dying of old age, in my opinion. And in the Western world, in my mind, what that translates to is they didn't take care of themselves, so they basically died of laziness. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Why can't these old people just pick themselves up by their bootstrap and live longer?
All you have to do is start working out and keep it up forever. That's all you have to do. Anybody can do that. You just have to make up your mind to do it. There's nothing special about George. Okay?
You sound like The Rock in what was that? What was that movie he did with Kevin Hart?
Oh,
with
the second, the one that Robin Williams did first. Jumanji. Wasn't it Jumanji?
It wasn't Jumanji.
Oh, the other one. I know the one you mean. I've seen that one too. I can't remember the name of it though.
No, but basically, The Rock was like, Kevin Hart was basically asking The Rock, like, how did you get so big? You know, because you were a dork in high school. And he was just, The Rock said he either worked for 3 hours a day or 6 hours a day. Okay. Every day for the rest of his life.
And that's what bodybuilders do. You know, that's what Arnold Schwarzenegger used to do. That's what Lou Ferrigno used to do. You know, but me, I only have to work out 5 days a week. and I stay this way. And my biometrics always come back perfect.
Oh, oh.
I'll stop it, Renz.
Ladies and gentlemen, them was the stories. I hope
And we're at 10 o'clock on the nose. We did good.
Yeah. Ended up just in time for me to get my free chicken nuggets from Chick-fil-A.
There you go. There you go. Go get
Feels
some
so
free
good, right?
chicken.
It feels like
All right, folks. Now, next week we're with you, right, Ted?
yeah. Guys, what do you think about this whole setup, by the way? Is it A1? Is it the best setup that's been on the stream?
I think this is the best setup I've seen for you. Guys, get your votes in. If this setup, maybe see what Renz is saying. If you reach 100, change the name of your channel to Centennial Mode. Oh, that's a pretty good idea, Renz. I got to keep that in mind. Now, of course, by the time I get to 100, I will have forgotten it anyway, but I like it. Renz likes the setup. Okay. Yeah, I think this is probably the best setup I've seen of yours.
Yeah. The only problem is this lighting. It makes me feel like I'm trying to light my complexion or something, huh?
Will you let it go?
Maybe I can. Let me just dim it just a bit. It was great when I had the sunset in the background, but now it's just like, ooh. Let me just dim it just a little bit.
And of course, once he dims it a little bit, guys, we can all say, "Hey, lighten up."
We're just saying RGB lights.
There you go. That's right.
Oh, look at this. This is just the lighting from the TV, guys.
That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible.
It's the lighting from the TV.
Oh, well, don't use the lighting from the TV. I think tonight's was the best I've seen. That's my opinion. You know, he's saying buy some RGB lights. Okay.
All right, let me look pretty for this sign off.
Okay.
All right, folks.
Okay. You are so beautiful.
So you can sign us out, George.
Okay. All right, folks. Next week we're on TED Talks. Don't mind me. I'm in a silly mood. And thanks everybody for coming in. Thank you, Renz, as always, for your wonderful super chat. And I hope everybody has a very blessed weekend. And we will see you next week. And here comes our usual pregnant pause.